So Dell is about a $60 billion company, and majority of this business is commercial, direct, B2B business. That means one sales guy is talking to a customer, negotiating a deal in that CPQ engine, right? They set the price, and then that price is reviewed and approved at some place. We started out the pricing optimization journey was about for three things. The first reason why we did it is we saw a lot of our deals were in some type of review or approval process. So what would happen is our quote to customer velocity, between the time we kind of decide to quote a customer and the time that we actually deliver the quote to the customer, was very, very large. And a lot of our deals were in this review process. The second thing we learned was that we were not effective in our pricing. When I say effective, is this the most optimal price to win a particular deal, right? Optimal in terms of gross margin delivery for Dell, or winning the deal, right? Both those are important aspects of this. And at Dell, what we found was most of the sales teams were using the concept of gross margins to establish price. And it works in some companies where you have a small product portfolio. But at Dell, when you think of it, we sell everything from a mouse, which is like $10, to $10 million storage systems, right? They're not all the same products. And when a sales guy is tackling that, if he uses gross margins to make decisions, we are hugely sub-optimizing our P&L. The third piece, which is pretty important, and I think this is something that we are like pushing forward as one of the pioneering concepts of linkage to sales compensation. Today, there's no direct linkage in Dell between a price choice and whether you get rewarded or penalized for your sales compensation. So these were the three big issues we were facing when we started our price optimization journey. And this is not a small transformation, this is a major transformation. And in order to be successful, we found like 4 or 5 things that were pretty critical to be successful. The first thing was it has to be leader-led. In Dell, we had the engagement of all the C-level executives, right? So I, on a monthly basis, was reporting up to the CFO, the Chief Operating Officer, and the Chief Sales Officer on how we were performing. That leadership engagement was pretty critical to be successful in the price optimization journey. The second thing, I think, which is very, very critical to us, was piloting. Even before we implemented tools, we piloted, we tested. Every test we did helped us understand what we needed to implement in the end tool system. So we didn't write a line of code, we didn't implement Vendavo until 6 months into the project. The third thing, I think this was very important, we recognized early on, was we needed business experts leading the project, not IT people leading the project. I mean, IT is important, huge partner, but we need business people, people who did the job on a day-to-day basis kind of driving this project. The fourth thing, and I think this is going to be, I know a lot of people talked about big data, and I'll tell you that data is very, very critical to make decisions, but I will say balance data with experience, right? I mean, because your data is including in the data, in the historical data, is all the bad behavior that existed in your previous history. So you want expertise to kind of apply an 80-20 rule of 80% data-driven, but 20% experience-driven. And then finally, I think this is very, very critical, is measure. I think somebody talked about measurement. Build a reporting engine and share your results frequently so that people understand what you're doing, how the journey is progressing, and that you're doing this in a data-driven, fact-based way. It took us 9 months from concept or signing Vendavo as our partner to launching in the US. And we've just finished launching in major Western European countries. And by the end of this year, we would have launched globally in our price optimization journey, right? So it's a quick journey. We're talking about 18 months from concept to finishing implementation. So I told you about 2 things. I was interested in pricing efficiency. So typically now, 90% of our quotes are going out within 4 hours. 75% of our quotes don't require any pricing approval. That is, the system will tell you what to price at. As long as you're able to price in that range, sales guy doesn't need to get any approval from anybody. So huge improvements in efficiency. The second thing is how effective are we in pricing, which is a measurement of how much P&L drivers did we drive. I think Bruno kind of referenced a number, 170 basis points or something like that. I can tell you that we are well in that range. Huge improvements in our margin delivery. And when you think of a $60 billion company, and you're talking about 100+ basis points of margin, that's a lot of money to take to the bank, right? So we are very, very happy with our partnership with Vendavo in this pricing optimization journey. Thank you very much, Megan.